Now, President Donald Trump did something that I never thought a elite, wealthy New York businessman would ever do, and that's win over farmers in the heartland. Again, I still don't understand it to this day. And for now, despite his disastrous trade war with China, many of those people are still actually sticking with him. And that's an amazing story. Now, for that, I go to Bloomberg, right? Now, Bloomberg News sent some reporters out to speak to Trump voting farmers like Scott Henry. Now, Scott Henry is an Iowa soybean farmer, right? So, he's one of the people that's obviously getting impacted heavily through Donald Trump's trade war. Now, apparently, according to these reporters, people like Scott are still with Donald Trump, despite admitting that he and his fellow farmers are both tired and frustrated by the president's trade wars, which he has described as, quote, hard to watch. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard to watch someone who has no idea what they're doing basically destroy your livelihood. That can't be fun with his ridiculous trade wars. Nonetheless, Henry's going to stick by Trump, and he likes the president's pledge to fight for the forgotten people in rural America. He says, quote, my support for President Trump is very strained right now. Very strained. Interesting. Look, is he going to fight for forgotten people? No, of course not. He's not fighting for it unless your billionaires are forgotten. Then he absolutely fought for you when he got those giant $1.5 trillion in tax cuts passed. Look, it's super clear that he either has no idea what he's doing or he's just benefiting himself, which I think is both, actually. It's clear that it's both. He's an idiot, and he's also selfish. Even so, Leland Strom, who's former chairman of the Farm Credit Administration Board, he tells Bloomberg that rural Americans are not abandoning Trump because they believe he's at least trying to stop their communities from falling into further economic decay. He's trying, guys. He's trying really, really hard. No, he's not. He does 8 hours of executive time a day. And then he goes out and he campaigns. He does campaign rallies and doesn't actually work. He's a one-pager kind of guy. He is not out there working for you. He doesn't even read policy. Not at all. He doesn't have a budget out for 2019. He just doesn't. I'm pretty sure he's never... What, budget? What? No, I'm going to go watch it Fox and Friends, and I'm going to eat some hamburgers. That's what I'm going to do. He's failing, and he's a moron. He doesn't care about farmers. Get it through your heads. He doesn't care about you. He is the very thing that you said you hated. He is a coastal elite who says, I'm more elite than the elites. How can you believe him when he says things? How can you believe him? But I'm going to go back to Strom here, who explained, quote, rural America has been in decline for 4 decades, and I think rural residents are willing to ride this out with the hope that it can bring back some manufacturing. No, man. No. He can't. Look, he can't bring back manufacturing, and that's a fallacy, right? When any president says, no, don't worry, I can bring back these jobs overseas. No, that's a lie. They can't do it. They're making promises that they can't do. And why do I say that, right? It's because we have a global economy, right? And right now, you have companies like, countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh that have no regulations, no rules, incredibly low pay, and you have companies that just go overseas. Tariffs aren't working, right? Because they pass down the cost to the consumer. There's really not a whole lot you can do, except maybe, go after the companies themselves. But then again, those companies will still pass down the cost to the consumer. So what do you do? And as long as those conditions are present in those other countries that make it cheaper for these companies to manufacture there and make more profit, which, by the way, they have illegal responsibility to maximize profit for their shareholders, they're going to continue to move their companies offshore. Doesn't matter how many tax cuts you give them. Doesn't matter how many tax breaks you give them or subsidies. They're going to go where it's cheaper. Well, I guess it does matter how many you give them. You know, as long as it makes it so that it's cheaper to be here. And that's unfortunately the nature of the global economy. That's why we actually need better jobs, we need smarter jobs, and we need jobs that are unable to be outsourced. Looking towards the future, doing things like solar. Solar is one of the biggest, one of the largest sectors that is growing in the American economy. Why don't we do something about that? No, Donald Trump says, I'm not going to do anything about that, which, by the way, it could bring even more manufacturing jobs into the United States. Instead, we've given that over to China. And so now China's manufacturing all the solar panels, and we've actually made it more expensive to get solar here in America. So congratulations, Trump administration, for screwing that up. He's not going to bring back manufacturing. Not with the tariffs, not with the tax cuts for the rich. Look, in fact, what happened is when he did do the tax cuts that he promised would help bring back manufacturing, these companies just took that money and they did over $1 trillion in stock buybacks. That's it. That's it. That doesn't create jobs. In fact, companies have no incentive to create jobs or raise wages. None. None. So what are we doing? Look, the economy that Donald Trump keeps crowing about and talking about, that'll be my way to go and win the election, right? Stay on message, the same message that I had last time, make America great again, keep America great. And look at the economy, it's so fantastic. That economy is built on a house of cards. And it's going to collapse, just like anything that is too top heavy. And so, look, right now, the farmers are getting hit first. But it's going to get worse if we don't do anything. In fact, according to the National Corn Growers Association President Lynn Crisp, American farmers right now are facing a perfect storm of bad conditions that are hurting them. And he says that further trade wars are something that farmers cannot afford. Now, there's a lot of factors, as I said, that the president can't do anything about when it comes to bringing manufacturing back or bringing jobs back or whatever, or hurting the economy. But there are things that he can do, and that is trade wars. What he's doing with his trade war with China and possibly one with Mexico is making it even worse for the farmers that he said he was going to help. And by the way, the subsidies that we talked about, first the $12 billion, now the $16 billion in farmer subsidies. It's not going to mom and pop farms. It's not going to the small farmers. It's going to the large corporate farms. He's not on your side. He's not on your side. And I know that, again, small farmers have been ignored and screwed over, and I get it. But voting for Donald Trump, supporting him, is not going to help you at all. And Trump and Republicans will continue to give you lip service while exploiting you for your vote. You can't continue to do the same thing and vote for the same kind of policies that have continued, the status quo. Donald Trump's not going to save your farm. He's going to continue to prop up those large corporate farmers and large corporations, because helping corporate America also helps himself. And at the end of the day, that's all that Trump cares for. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.